do I message to my community in a way that I can get them to sign up? How do I reach them? How do I communicate?
Hello, everyone, and welcome to another episode of Test, Optimize, and Scale. If you follow the world of regulated investment crowdfunding, Devin Thorpe is a name that you see in your email box, on your social feeds quite often. He is an authority in the space, a fellow board member of mine at the Crowdfund Professional Association. Devin is the CEO and founder of the Super Crowd, as well as Superpowers for Good, which is a streaming TV channel. I say you've probably seen Devin's name a lot. He's written over 500 articles with Forbes, conducted over 1,200 interviews on his podcast. He's run for political office. And we're going to be able to go in depth today about superpowers, about the world of entrepreneurship, as well as capital raising, which sets up a lot of startups to fail. And I think why we both choose to focus energies in this area. Devin, it is an honor to have you on the podcast today.
Well, the honor is entirely all mine, Jason. I mean, you are a rock star in this space, been so incredibly successful. I'm humbled to be invited to be on the show. Thank you.
You're too kind. And I know your intention with creating content like mine is really to get the right tips, the right recommendations out to founders who are using these vehicles. Investment crowdfunding being a highlight of both of our content series. So I know that's our goal today, and think we're going to be able to put out some actionable insights for the audience. But wanted to begin and familiarize listeners, viewers with your background. I know I touched some of the current highlights, but where did it all begin for you? How did your career path lead into this industry of capital raising?
Well, the honest truth is it sort of starts a long time ago, like almost 50 years ago,
Wow.
when I was a little kid. And forgive me for going back to the ancient of days, right? But it's probably before you were born. But in 1976, there was a dam in southern Idaho that failed. It just devastated the town of Rexburg, Idaho, a town, I think, of about 12,000 people at the time. It killed about a dozen people and, of course, just wiped out, thousands of animals. And it left 80% of the structures damaged or destroyed. So that summer, people sort of organized a lot around the church in that community to visit southern Idaho and help the people in Rexburg dig the muck and mud out of their basements and put their lives back together. So my dad came to me that summer and said, "Hey, I'm going to go up Saturday. Do you want to come?" I said, "Sure." I thought playing in the mud sounded like a good day. Right? That was a good thing. Right. I was 11. Right. So we went up. We worked all day. I thought it was great. More recently, I went back to Rexburg to look, and it was interesting. When I was there, I couldn't find the statue that they had erected in my honor. I don't know where they put it, but I couldn't find it. But I was really convinced that I had completely changed the world by spending the day in Rexburg digging muck and mud out of places. As an adult, I can reflect on the experience, and I recognize I didn't really do much good. They gave me the shovel no one wanted. I was too small. I wasn't really helpful. So I didn't make a difference, but the experience really became one of the defining moments of my life. I recognized I wanted to help people. I went on to miss some of the opportunities, but I developed a fairly successful finance career. But as I launched my career, nearly 40 years ago, I hate to admit that now. But as I launched my career, I said, I'm going to spend the first half of my career making money, and I'm going to spend the second half of my career making a difference. And I wasn't sure how I would do that. And as I, reached that milestone about 15 years ago, I said, okay, it's time. Got to pull the trigger. So I launched career number 2 on social impact. And how I have, after a period of time, I've slowly refined that look as a focus on using investment crowdfunding for good. And and what I see is that investment crowdfunding is an inherent good for the world, right? Because it gives ordinary investors an opportunity to participate in investments that were prohibited for them until recently. That in and of itself is a moral good. You look at the way social entrepreneurs are able to use uh, Reg CF and Reg A plus to raise capital for their investments. And what we're seeing is that there are a lot of businesses who have raised a lot of money. There's one right in Southern California, Aptera, down in San Diego, just south of you, that's raised about $100 million from the crowd. And they recently hired an investment bank to help them raise institutional capital.
Mm-hmm.
These guys, their job was to raise $60 million in 90 days. You know how much they raised? $400,000. Aptera is going back to the crowd. That's the rumor, right? They're going to go back to the crowd to finish the raise and start manufacturing these. What they make is electric vehicles that are solar powered.
Right.
An amazing business with all kinds of social impact, right? When you think about social impact, one of the key things I think about is climate change. I realize not everybody's as worked up about it as I am, but I'm one of those that kind of worked up about it. So I get excited about that. And you look at that, you say, holy cow, institutional investors won't touch that. But the crowd put in $100 million.
Yes.
Right. So this is working to change the world. Right. And I am just so honored, so excited to be a part of that. And this is also a place where, people are making money, and I love to see that. Money kind of makes the world go round. So this, I just love it. That's kind of how I get there, from being a kid who thought it was nice to be helpful to other people to being the nerd who can't stop talking about crowdfunding at the party.
I didn't know all of those details, Devin, and can understand. I follow the Superpowers for Good content, and I'm now going to envision you looking to recreate that feeling from the dam in 1976 and that changing the world experience. I think we're all playing for it to some degree or another. I think of psychology and the self-actualization, pyramid, and wanting to help and not always knowing where to help. And I think that regulated investment crowdfunding, like you said, does give us that opportunity to have an impact and really play a role, if for nothing else, to add capital to an entrepreneur, to a startup team, an entity's journey and mission. And as you said, it's really beneficial on all sides of the table, democratizing access to early stage deals, growth stage deals at that, for investors. This would never have been possible decades back. And, being able to participate in a capital raise for an organization that has a $10, $20 million valuation and grow to multi-billion dollar valuations. I'm not sure exactly where Aptera is at. I know Sarah Hardwick, the crowd consulting, she was on the marketing side at Aptera, and she's been on the podcast here and was breaking down some of the things that have been most impactful, most successful on their capital raising journey. But when I look at the success rates of startups, they're not great. And a lot of the times it's because of a lack of funding. So that's why I've chosen to wake up in the morning and work on regulated investment crowdfunding every day, because I know that could allow for the next quarter, the next year, the next 5 years of one of these organizations that could really make a large difference in the world operate.
Yeah. We see, one of the things I love about crowdfunding is how many more women are being successful,
Yes,
including at scale. Great to see, and some, like there's a company called Tampon Tribe, founded by a couple of women, and I think they've raised every penny of their capital from the crowd, starting with a Kickstarter campaign nearly a decade ago.
Mm-hmm.
And they just keep raising and raising and raising more and more money and building their community. Literally, they call it a tribe, and just so exciting to see what they're doing. So